Hello, I'm Dango Rose. Welcome to the Mountaineer Podcast, where everybody's listening. The Mountaineer brings you the latest news of the Peak to Peak region, in print, online, through our podcast, social media, and special publications. Now, listen in to the latest news of the area with our local journalists.
Welcome back to the Mountaineer Podcast, where everybody's listening. I'm Art DeVitalis.
And I'm Cynthia Davis. Now, for this week's news.
This episode is brought to you by Hardt's Backhoe, Brightwood Music, Gold Dirt Distillery, the Mountain Man Outdoor Store, the Very Nice Brewing Company, and of course, the Mountaineer Newspaper. For our lead story today, we'll talk with Gilpin County Parks and Recreation Director Gabrille Chisolm. Gabrielle has been working hard with staff and community volunteers to thankfully bring this community staple back to operation. Things are looking better for the rec center.
My name is Gabrille Chisolm. I'm the Parks and Recreation Director for Gilpin County, and I started at the end of December. Thanks to the mill levy of 2.570 passing from our county voters. And so we are able to open with limited operations and programs. We're still operating under COVID restrictions. And so on March 1st, we did open. We're currently open in Phase 1, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. You can always go to our website to check any updates or for exact times. The commissioners did approve being free to everyone until March 27th. So right now, you can come in and enjoy the gym or the weight room or the cardio hall, the track. We have rentals in the NPR as well. But because of social distancing and state requirements, we are still closing social gatherings. So the lounge is closed, the locker rooms are closed. The pool is also closed, but I am working on hiring aquatic staff, so we've gotten a lot of applicants now. So I started that interview process about a week ago. We'll have interviews starting and training starting up hopefully in the next couple weeks. Childcare is going really well. We have childcare after school Monday through Thursday, and then Fridays we have full day care. Partnered with CXU Extension with their Eagle program, so any teens that would like to apply for that program are welcome to do that. So after school and full day Friday care is our licensed child care, and we do lots of activities in the gym or crafts, art. We go on walks and we go to the playground when it's not 3 feet of snow. And then the Eagle program is for teens, same kind of thing. They have had a movie night and they've done pizza cooking. They've done capture the flag and have gone to the playground. So lots of fun activities for our youth here in Gilpin. And the bus after school does drop them off, so that's pretty convenient. We also are starting our pickleball group every Monday and Wednesday and Saturday from 9:30 to 11:30. That actually will start tomorrow. So come play some pickleball from 9:30 to 11:30. And then we have our martial arts group that is also meeting up Mondays and Wednesday evenings from 6:30 to 7:30. We'll no longer be requiring reservations. The first 2 weeks were reservations for 1 hour, just due to we didn't know how it was going to be to first open and the usage and with COVID. So we have noticed that we think we can go ahead and do no reservations, especially while we're in blue. You know, that could change depending on usage if we get too many people coming in all at once or we're hitting our maximum capacities, we might have to go back to reservations. Or if the state dial goes back down to yellow, we might have to do that as well. But starting tomorrow, no reservations, drop-in only. And then new fees will also take place starting on March 29th. And all that information can be found at gilpincounty.org under the Community Center tab. What else?
Awesome.
So what has changed in recent weeks with the way everything is set up?
I have worked here as the assistant director starting in September of 2017, and so the community center really is a hub for most of the residents and even surrounding communities for people to socialize, learn new skills, recreate, have fun, work out, get healthy. So I really think it's an intricate part of our community. And it's important that we are able to have that back up and running, and so especially with childcare, we're the only licensed school-age childcare in the county as well. It is a really important part for our county, I think, for all of our residents and our guests. You know, people just come to take showers sometimes after camping, so, you know, it's a multi-use facility that many different types of folks will come and use. Really excited to be back open. Because we're multi-use, I feel like keeping people healthy mentally and physically, emotionally healthy is really important. So, you know, the social aspect, seeing your friends here or learning a new skill or getting kids outside or sports, you know, whatever it may be. That's why I love being in Parks and Rec, and I have been for 15 years. It's really the career path I'm excited to have gotten, and I think we're going to have a lot of great things ahead once we can start doing more events again. We also partner with a lot of the different agencies like High Country Auxiliary or G-Cart to put on some of their fundraisers. We also have our new established Friends of Gilpin County Community Center, who have really helped drive the opening of the rec center and got the ballot word out. So I'm really thankful to have them by my side now too.
And what's her main priority as director there at this point?
So top priority is making sure that we're able to be financially independent and sustainable past the sunset of 2023. So that's going to be me working with the commissioners and the Friends Group and other residents. You know, are we going to go back to the general fund if the casinos are able to open again? You know, a lot of our revenue comes from gaming taxes, or to be more independent, should we go to a special district? You know, is it a balance between fees and another dedicated mill levy? So really getting a survey from the residents and making sure that we can be longer open and keep on going. So that's my main goal and priority.
Of course, any updates will come through the website, social media page, and more.
I would say always just look at our Facebook page for the most up-to-date information, GilpinCountyCommunityCenter.org, and then our Friends group as well, Gilpin County Community Center. They're always are up to date with their information too. So.
Thanks, Gabrielle, for the update and the plans moving forward.
Once COVID's over, hopefully we'll be up and running again. Another one of my jobs is the longevity of the rec center. We need to, you know, be long-term thinking, and the mill levy will sunset at the end of 2023, so we need to be deciding how we want to keep the community center up and running, address some of our deferred maintenance issues, some of our capital improvements such as the roof and the HVAC and the outside area with our new cement. So there's a lot of projects and things that need to be done, so we need to make sure that we're being fair and reasonable with our residents, but also realistic in keeping the facility open and safe and maintained.
Call 303-582-1453 for more information.
To the news desk.
Free COVID tests are available at the Nederland Community Center every Thursday from 4 to 6 p.m. No appointment or ID is required. Boulder County is also currently vaccinating moderate-risk healthcare workers, frontline workers, and those aged 60 years and older. For information on vaccinations or to sign up to be notified of when and where to get the COVID-19 vaccine, go to bouldercounty.org/families/disease/COVID-19/vaccines.
Gilpin County offers COVID testing at the Gilpin County Public Health Office at 101 Norton Drive every Thursday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. You can sign up at www.primarybio.com. Please pre-register prior to arrival. Gilpin County is also offering COVID vaccines to healthcare workers, teachers, first responders, and people over 60. The phone number to register is 303-515-4342.
The High Country Auxiliary is seeking donations for the annual silent auction to be held on May 15th from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Gilpin Arts Association. Organizers say that they realize that this has been a challenging year for most of our local small businesses. If you're able, they appreciate your donation of a gift certificate or items.
Creative basket makers will combine items into themed baskets for the auction. Funds support our first responders who keep us all safe in Gilpin County and Nederland areas. For more information, email Terry Miller at terrymiller5310@gmail.com or mail your items or gift certificates to HCA P.O. Box 232, Blackhawk 80422.
After serving at Nederland Community Presbyterian Church for 7.5 years, Pastor Hanson Wendland announced his departure in February. During the past year of the pandemic, NCPC has been conducting online services.
Nederland Community Presbyterian Church invites its membership and members of the community to say goodbye and thank you to Pastor Hanson Wendland on Tuesday, April 6th, 2021, from 5 to 7 p.m.
Due to COVID-19 restrictions, it will be an in-vehicle event. Pastor Hanson will greet the passengers in each vehicle and then move on to the next. NCPC is located at 210 North Jefferson Street in Nederland. Brightwood Music in Nederland has all your favorite stringed and fretted instruments, including percussion, brass, woodwinds, and more accessories than you can count. It's March Madness with the annual ukulele sale. When you buy an instrument from Brightwood, it comes professionally set up by a luthier with over 40 years of experience. They also offer in-house repairs on stringed and fretted instruments.
From restring to refret to rebuild, they've got you covered, and in-person and online lessons as well. Brightwood Music is family-owned and operated. The store is open for limited hours for the next few weeks. Check their Facebook page at Brightwood Music for regular updates.
And now we turn to Dango
This
Rose.
is Dango Rose with the Mountaineer Everybody's Listening podcast. Today our special guest, our guest is Dango Rose. That's me. Yeah, I think musicians in general have just been doing their best to find a new way to engage with audiences, to stay connected to their fans, and to stay true to their craft as musicians, songwriters, artists. I think it's been especially hard for sidemen, sidewomen, players, drummers, bassists, those that rely on sort of the live performance aesthetic to make a living. Well, it's like sound engineers, production people. The music industry is so vast. So many people have been without work because of the COVID-19 pandemic. On the creative end, songwriters, still there's a lot of time to really be able to delve in and to hone your craft. But at the same time, there's also trying to figure out the details of life and how to make a living. Yeah, the whole industry sort of collapsed upon itself. And so a lot of people out there are kind of like, oh, well, get a job doing something else. And it's just this sort of, which is valid. You got to do what you got to do to survive, but it's what we do. It's
kind of cold for people that have been doing this for, I don't know, the better part of a decade or more. It's not a friendly goodbye.
Sort of that whole thing where like, oh, well, music and the arts, it's not an essential service, That's nothing to take away from our essential workers by any means. But the arts, it is essential. It's essential to our humanity. It's essential to our culture, essential to our well-being as humans on this planet. Helps us connect with people, helps us stay connected, helps us spiritually. It's a very, very important piece to our culture.
Should be considered essential. Have you been songwriting at all, I guess, over this last just about year now?
Yes, I definitely have. And it goes through phases. In the fall, I was writing a little bit more often. I've also been really focused on honing my engineering skills and really getting to know the DAW systems, the digital audio workstations, starting to get a little bit more into MIDI, some electronic aspects, which is really hard for me as a traditionalist. It almost feels fake. It's a very, very strange dichotomy that I'm working with right now. Yet I also see the value in a lot of the elements of that with regards to production. It's just been multifaceted, and then continuing to work with people remotely, online, doing some one-on-one sessions in the studio, still doing production work. Also looking at all the music and songs that I've produced and recorded since 2008 and coming up with a plan to release all that music. A little bit of everything.
So has any of this, just being in quarantine, had a place in any of the music itself or in creating it?
It's allowed me to delve much more into the production side of it as it relates to how I want to get the ideas out of my head and onto a DAW interface like Pro Tools. It's been a really cool aspect of it. Some of the songs have come out of quarantine sort of place mentality, especially at the beginning. I think so many songwriters wrote their initial quarantine songs, you know, but then it just sort of becomes a natural flow of life. And I was in a position as well to have been off the road for 2 years before the pandemic took effect in our lives. So I had already developed a different style of routine with regard to my creativity. And then quarantine essentially just kind of helped me hone in on it even more. So there's a lot of opportunity that I found in a year, you know, that's also definitely perceived as loss and challenge and hardship. And there has been a lot of challenge and hardship. I don't take away from that at all, but I do try to see and focus on where and what the opportunity is as well.
Well, I was just trying to get a feel for kind of how that tempered everything, so to speak. I definitely wanted to kind of turn it over to you and anything that you wanted to talk about.
You know, I'm kind of curious about just really what it takes to be an artist and to connect with your fans and just with the people that, you know, care about what you're putting out there. It's a really challenging time, so I just want to, you know, send my appreciation to everyone that's still doing it, especially in a culture right now where attention spans are quicker, I guess you could say. You know, went from like a minute-long Instagram world to a 15-second kind of like TikTok world. And I could see it in like the way that things are even being advertised on television at times, or how they're making new trailers for films and stuff like that. Like it's appealing to a different like part of the mind that like is just like this, that, this, what's the next advertisement, what's the next YouTube video that's going to come up in the queue. It's almost like treating our own intelligence as if it's the artificial intelligence that creates and maintains the algorithms in the first place. I think there's a really interesting opportunity in not adhering to that as artists, yet still how do we connect to the people that we want to connect to? I think that's a fine line that we're walking right now. I think it's a telling tale of our time.
For some reason, that kind of reminds me of folk music. Do you think that that will become almost a mission focus of it to a certain extent in just keeping itself from being that?
Yeah, I do. I want to encourage people to just keep being real and keep being true to yourself and true to the art. I really do. That's how I'm approaching it as well. And if that means at the end of the day that I don't remain relevant in some sense, you know, with the way that online social media type culture is moving, I think I'm okay with that. That's where folk music has longevity, and I think it always has. And I think it's going to continue to, like you said. Music for the people, by the people. It also feeds off human connection and speaks to the issues and the challenges of our time. You know, as Pete Seeger triumphantly exclaims, we shall overcome. Working with Sage Cook, one of my original bandmates from Elephant Revival, and my friend Sam Birchfield in Atlanta, we're putting together an album out at Sage's place in Kansas, which I'm really excited about. And then also working on probably a new EP of original material. So the question right now is just how to release it all. So I'm kind of going back into a branding phase. So that's kind of why all this has been on my mind. So it's like a rebranding. In the months ahead, I'll be putting new stuff out there, probably launching a Patreon page, getting a Bandcamp page up together, revamping the website, and then consistently releasing music through 2021. To all the musicians out there, even after, you know, having a really awesome, solid career with Elephant Revival, I'm right there with everyone and just trying to figure out this modern landscape that's ever changing. Solidarity is the word that comes to mind.
Well, of course, I got to follow up with, could you just talk about the new album with kind of the collaboration? Where is that headed?
It's so cool. Yeah, so we're recording out in the ghost town out at Sage's place. Yeah, original song written with myself and Sam and Sage. And it's kind of got this like outlaw Americana country transformational type feel to it. it's got a sound. It's definitely got a sound to it. And when that happens, it feels like we've hit some kind of magical current and just riding that wave. So hoping to finish that up here in the next few months and then to have that ready for release by the end of the year. Yeah, the Elephant Graveyard is kind of like this mythical place that nobody is actually sure of whether or not it exists, of like an ancient burial ground that elephants return to time and time again, you know, either in Africa or Asia. It's almost like this story that nobody knows whether or not it's real.
Some folklore itself.
Folklore and myth. Yep.
Thank you, Dango. And thank you for your contribution to music and this podcast.
The Mountaineer has the only weekly classified ads that cover the entire peak-to-peak region. There are several job postings with local businesses looking to hire local staff. Check it out at www.themtnear.com and click on Classifieds. The regularly scheduled community meeting for the Gilpin Dems will be the fourth Thursday of each month at 7 p.m., and there will be a Zoom meeting until further notice. The Gilpin County Democratic Party will hold its next Central Committee meeting on Zoom at 7 p.m. March 25th. Visit gilpincountydems.org/contact.html to request a link to that Zoom meeting.
Gilpin County Arts Association invites the public to a reception to celebrate the coming of spring and the closing of the winter exhibitions at Washington Hall Gallery, March 27th, 2021, from noon to 3 p.m. We all need a party. You can meet the artists Maggie Smiley and Virginia Unseld and discuss their newest bodies of work. Maggie is a potter and Virginia is a painter. Both previously taught art in Gilpin and Clear Creek counties, where they met and became friends over 35 years ago. Refreshments will be served.
For our final story this week, we take a look at new renovations, classic spirits, and more with a local distillery and venue. Owner Judd Kaufman tells us more here.
My name is Judd Kaufman. I own Gold Dirt Distillery and the Stage Stop Pub in Rollinsville. Soon to be open for both of those two things. We've been around for a little while now. Gold Dirt was founded in 2016, and we had a little tasting room over on the west side of Rollinsville. Through our 1 or 2 days per week interface with the locals and a few visitors, we got to know a lot of people around the area, and we live in the town of Rollinsville. The Stage Stop came up for sale, and we just couldn't not buy it. So we purchased that with the goal of opening up a distillery pub. We were just going to spit polish it, kind of just give it a clean and maybe a new paint job or something, and open up the existing space, and then COVID hit. And as we were cleaning up the building, we discovered, well, you know, expectedly, that the old girl needed a lot of work. So with the uncertainty, we just decided to do a larger remodel and improvement, you know, fix some old kind of ad hoc repairs that didn't age so well probably. The end product will be really, really something to behold and be a real accomplishment for the staff here. To actually pull this off. You know, we have a limited budget. We're not made of money, so we're doing this. A lot of sweat being poured into this project at the moment.
So for those that have been before, what will change and what will stay the same?
What we're doing, we're not trying to like turn it into something completely new or just reinvent it or anything. We're keeping things like the wheels, the old bar, which, you know, unfortunately some previous occupants over the years packed it up so that modern bar equipment would fit underneath the bar top. They've removed a lot of the more decorative features on the back bar. So we're actually going to be working with old photographs of that stuff to make it like it originally was. And that's going to be a major project of all on its own. And in fact, we're trying to make it a little bit more historical and evocative of the area and the mining history and all of that sort of gritty Rollinsville appeal. You know, we're trying to accentuate the area itself, not really kind of reinvent it into something that it might not be. Well, since we ripped out a lot of walls and electrical and plumbing and all of that sort of stuff, we need to conform to building codes. So we have to do a little bit of structural, they call it mitigation, but I'm just going to say reinforcement. That floor upstairs that bounces up and down when people dance in rhythm, we're not going to be able to keep that bouncing part, for better or worse. Some people think that's great. Other people seem to say, "Oh, I'm going to miss that," and kind of look at them up the side of my eye when they say that. Yeah, so we have to do some structural mitigation, and that actually is putting a big question mark on the when part of it. Hopefully we'll be able to open sometime this summer. That is our goal. That has been my goal for a long time. You know, it's like the money pit. It's going to be open in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. You know, 2 weeks from when, I'm not sure. We have StageStopPub.com, and that's all hooked up to our Instagram, and at least once a month, and usually more often than that, we do some sort of update on what is happening with the Stage Stop. And hopefully that'll, kind of keep people interested and give them a little bit of the information that they want to have. And I promise, as soon as we have a real, reasonable date from a professional, I will be trumpeting it from the highest pulpit I can find.
So we asked him for a little business history as well.
My wife, Christy, and I, we got pregnant and we were in Chicago. We decided to move out to Colorado to start a little distillery. Time passed, things happened, and I found Rollinsville. Decided to put a very, very small, kind of one-man operation distillery in Rollinsville. And that actually turned out to be a very good idea. It's just the people around here are very interested. There's a fair amount of tourist traffic, and we were able to do this with a reasonable overhead. It's not crazy expense-wise to do this sort of business here.
And of course, that makes the spirits here special and unique.
Two things I like to specialize in. The first one is one of my favorites, is gin. I make 2 basic gins. One of them is my own recipe. It took me about 10 years to formulate it. Finally came up with something that I just think is great. It mixes well in cocktails. It's great on its own, and it's called Rocky Mountain Gin. It's more of an American-style gin. It's got all the juniper you could want, but then it also has amped up things like coriander and a lot of the floral components of the botanicals. I don't think you're going to find another gin quite like it. It's my pride and joy on the gin side. We also make a high and dry gin, we call it. And it's very similar to the Rocky Mountain as far as the dry component of the botanicals go. But we actually just deleted almost all of the floral components, and then we added a little bit of sage and a couple of other more peppery style, more traditional style gin ingredients to kind of satisfy that more traditional desire. And I do get a lot of people that like that one a little bit more. It's interesting to see. There's definitely a very large group of people that love the Rocky Mountain, and then there's a lot of real traditional gin lovers who are really into the high-end dry. So I feel great that they're both pretty well accepted. Then on top of those, we actually do some additional infusions, pretty similar to a lot of smaller distilleries that make gin. Basically, we take one of those 2 gins, whichever we think will work best with whatever ingredient we want to infuse. I do a pressure infusion process usually, like the lavender gin is currently the most popular. So we have a lavender gin, we have a rose gin, we're going to do a Swedish fish gin. Then those we kind of just dream up. Like anything we might want to flavor a gin with, we're like, yeah, let's try it. Somebody wants me to do bacon, we could fat wash bacon and do that. I don't know. Not that interested in it, but we might try it.
Thanks, Judd. And here's where you can find out more. Look out for the return of local music as well in the months to follow.
There's the brown spirit side as well. And that is a little bit more time consuming and a lot more labor. So our ability to produce quantity of that is a lot lower. I do have a love for rye whiskey, and I spent about 8 years in Kentucky, and that's actually where I started doing this process, the distilling process. So I make bourbon as well. So we do blue corn wheated bourbon, and then we do a high mountain rye whiskey. And we're aging those right now. By the time the stage stop is open, we'll have that available at the stage stop. And we also make product called Honey Shine, Honey Spirit. We haven't decided on what we're actually going to call it. We've been calling it Honey Brandy. Turns out the federal government doesn't want us to do that. Once we figure out the actual name, that's kind of inconsequential. It's really tasty. It's basically mead. We distill the mead. We put it on oak, similarly to kind of a accelerated aging process that a lot of small distilleries use for rye whiskey. So it actually has a very whiskey backbone to it, like a strong oak backbone, but then it's really sweet. It has a very pronounced sweetness and honey character to it, and people love it. So I'm pretty psyched about that product. That's the majority of what we do. Now we also have the unicorns, and that's just kind of random stuff, whatever we decide to make. We've done agave, we've done rum that didn't really turn out like we wanted it, so we're going to give it another shot. But anything, we'll literally try anything. As far as the online stuff, really all of our social media is hooked into our website, StageStopPub.com, GoldDirtDistillery.com. If you want to access Facebook or Instagram directly, you can do that too. Same handles, StageStopPub and Gold Dirt Distillery. You know, all that stuff is out there on the internet. Luckily, we have somebody in-house that seems to be pretty good at that. She kind of takes care of most of it, so I don't have to be hands-on with that, which I like, because I like making booze and doing physical creative things more than I like interacting with computers.
And that's all for this week's episode of the Mountaineer Podcast.
Pick up this week's edition of the Mountaineer in print.
And go online to www.themtnear.com to catch up on more local news. I'm Cynthia Davis.
And I'm Art DeVitalis. Until next time, thank you for listening.
And that's it for our show. Subscribe online to get more access to more news, weekly updates to our community calendar, and a link to our YouTube channel by visiting themountaineer.com. Be sure to use the coupon code PODCAST when subscribing for a 10% discount, only available to our listeners. If you are in the local Peak-to-Peak area, be sure to pick up a print edition of The Mountaineer at a local business. I'm Dango Rose. Thank you for listening.